Welcome to Real Leaders with Roshini, the podcast with real talk, real questions, real insight, and we hope real inspiration. For real. We're here at Capitol Grill in downtown Minneapolis. My guest today is John Sweeney, owner of Brave New Workshop. He's also a keynote speaker, corporate trainer, and author of 4 books. John, so much energy. How do you get it all done?
I drink a lot of coffee, and actually, it's a saying that we heard a lot in my family growing up, and it's long time dead. And I think what my parents meant by that is, once you die, you're dead for a long time, so get it done as much as you can. So I love waking up and seeing how much I can get done.
And just getting it done.
Yeah.
Brave New Workshop, known for improv. You're also doing a lot of other things with businesses in that space of yours in downtown Minneapolis. But you travel all over the world, taking your message to different spaces. How would you succinctly define what John Sweeney's message is today?
Sure. Our message is pretty simple, and that is the mindset in which we choose every moment of our life affects the skills that we have and the tools that we use, right? Our productivity. And so I tried my hardest to help people to know that they can choose their mindset and not just go to their default mindset of fear, and that they can practice small micro behaviors to consistently build the mindset they want. And I hope that mindset is of generosity and of curiosity and of openness, but that'll be them for to choose. But that's what I do. I try to have people find and believe and live their mindset.
What's an easy micro behavior to take on that someone may want to change?
A lot of them are super, super simple, and we use improv as a way to kind of demonstrate them, but most of the ones we recommend are just everyday. Let's say you are a little bit conflict avoidant when it comes to having conversations with people who are different than you. Guess what? Next time you're on a public transportation, sit next to someone. If you feel comfortable, ask them where they're from. If you've got a coworker you haven't met, go out to breakfast, ask them what music they listen to, especially if they're from a different culture or they have a different point of view. We think that first tiny step, just deciding I'm going to go over to that cubicle and ask them to go to lunch with me, that's the most important thing. So it's simple stuff. And think of it as mindset fitness. So the micro behaviors are the workout program. Go do stuff you're uncomfortable with, because your mind is not going to want to change. So you have to be uncomfortable, and you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And we always say, well, why would one do that? And it's my belief that we should do that for the sake of others.
As a speaker and corporate trainer, you have clients like Facebook and Microsoft and Hilton. How do you take what you just described, changing micro behaviors and things that might seem a little overwhelming to some of the more traditional brands out there, as well as just the corporate world?
What's kind of fun is it's kind of a reverse engineering process, right? So we sit down and we say, where's the productivity level? Where's the behaviors that you wish these people were at? And we ask that to the leaders, and they might describe that. You know, our people sell more. They're better with their customers. We have better cross-silo communication, whatever they say, right? And then we back that up and say, well, why isn't that happening? And then that's that gap. And we say, what's the mindset that can have those people to have the courage, because I believe it's courage, to move forward towards that new mindset.
Do you think that our world right now is kind of craving the energy and the push and the challenge to change their mindsets?
Yeah, I think they're craving all of that. And then I think there's a bit of desperation because people are also craving how. Like so much disparity, so much conflict, so much anger, so much judgment. I don't want to do that anymore, but how? And so I really get full of energy when people, say, you showed me a really simple path to be a better version of me. And we always say this culture of one, right? Like, I can't change what's going on in Washington or in Hong Kong or anywhere, but I can decide what I'm going to do today. And so that I see people relieved sometime of, oh, it's not that complicated. I can just do this a little bit every single day, and next thing you know, I have a different mindset.
What are some tenets of improv that regular people can bring to everyday lives?
Well, the one that I think is most needed right now, it's my favorite, is that improvisers understand that diversity equals innovation. And so when an improviser meets someone in a scene that is drastically different than them, they are absolutely filled with curiosity, energy, and gratitude. Because think of the math. If I meet someone who's just like me, we're only going to be able to duplicate each other's point of view, and then together we can only create a scene that's kind of 1 + 1 = 1.5. But if you're drastically different than me, now 1 + 1 can equal 3. And so I love that to the workplace, to life, to this world, people can embrace this. Hey, you seem to disagree with me. Hey, you were born and raised different than me. Hey, you look different than me. That's awesome. I really want to get to know you because together we can build. And it's not necessarily compromise. Improvisers know how to kind of sustain the value of their own point of view and make it work while respecting the point of view of the person they're working with. So it's not like giving in. It's
maybe enhancing.
Yeah, and it's building something new. It's just exciting. I love that one. One of the kind of, most common things you'll hear in improv is yes and, that phrase. And yes really means I'm going to accept the current state of my reality. On stage, it's okay. I'm going to assume that I'm in Central Park because that's where the scene's taking place. I'm going to assume, I'm this character. But off stage, it means this is what I got. My team, my leadership, my budget, my marketplace, my tools. And then the and is forward. I'm going to build something. I'm going to move towards a solution. That solution could be better product development, better customer service, better employee engagement, whatever they are. So I love the yes is this is what we got, and the and is let's go forward.
You have chosen to bring your two sons into your world. They've traveled around the world with you and your wife, Jenny. Why is it important to you to let them see your reality?
Well, I think I've been blessed with somewhat of an odd life in the sense that I was born and raised on a dairy farm, right? And I'm the youngest of 8. And so, my approach to work is probably different than most people because on a dairy farm, if you don't milk a cow in 16 or 18 hours, she'll get mastitis, and it's a big problem. And so you milk twice a day, on Christmas, on your birthday, when your grandfather dies, if JFK gets shot, on 9/11, you milk. And so I don't really understand not working. And so I want to show them that an active life actually is more rewarding than a life full of leisure and a life full of luxury. And to do that, since we've been, gifted with such a wonderful life, I want to show them as many different things as I can. And that's probably been, I'm 53, and I think in the last 20 years, because of my travels, I've become a more open person, a less judgmental person, and a more curious person. And so I love to show them stuff that's a lot different than suburban Minneapolis.
What is your advice to parents who can't necessarily take their kids all over the world?
Well, I think that's one of the greatest benefits of this thing called the internet, right? There's so much information and kind of get really specific and curious, right? So, as you know, we just went on a wonderful trip to Patsun, Guatemala, right? So one of the things we did there is we said, what's the history of Guatemala? Oh my goodness. There were some interesting things like Chiquita Banana was really involved in the 50s because they had taken most of Hawaii and the Philippines and they were looking for more land. And then all of a sudden the CIA was involved and interesting. And they don't speak Spanish, they speak Mayan, like all these things. And so I just love this lifelong learner. And then I love aggressive curiosity and this almost investigative approach because the information's out there. I mean, I tell our boys, everyone I knew when I was growing up had Encyclopedia Britannica because if you wanted to know about Eastern Africa, you went and looked in the A's, and it was 10 years old data, and that was it. So now, we do sometimes, if it's rainy or really cold, we'll have a webcam night. So we'll just get on the net and look at, here's the webcam at the beach in Spittle, Ireland. Here's a webcam in Barcelona. Here's the webcam at the nuclear power plant in Russia, whatever it is, and just kind of internet travel.
I love it. Webcam night. That's a thing.
Yeah, well, it involves popcorn, of course.
It's a thing in the Sweeney household.
It is a thing.
It may become a thing for
we have Taco
our podcast
Tuesdays
listeners.
And then Wednesday web nights.
I love it.
Yeah, I just made that up.
I love it. Now, you have a fun fact about you is you've shared the stage with some luminaries. Betty White, George Bush Sr., Deepak Chopra. What was Betty White like?
Betty White may be the one that impacted me the most. I got to spend an hour with her in her hotel room before to kind of just make sure we knew each other because then we were going to spend an hour on stage.
Sounds a little weird, but...
her people were there too. Although she did say, and I'm telling you this is the truth, because she was 89 when I interviewed her. And so I came to her and she said, when I left, she said, I'm going to hand you my key, and if you take it, I'll slap you, and if you don't take it, I'll slap you twice. She's just so on. But to hear her talk about her husband to hear her talk about her love of animals, and then to see her reveal herself in such an authentic way to these 1,500 people. And it was a fundraiser for Gilda's Club in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I was emceeing that and interviewing her. And then to see that what she found happiness in was different than most people in Hollywood. It wasn't the fame, it wasn't the money, it was the people and the experience. And then as a comedian, I don't know if I've ever met anyone who got more true value out of bringing joy through her work. She loves to make people laugh because she knows it makes them feel good. Yeah,
and her timing is just impeccable.
And it's because she's in a relaxed state. So she's almost like a one-person jazz band. She's always in the rhythm. And then so sharp. Like, at first I was like, "Hi, Betty, I'm John Sweeney, and you're old, so I'm going to talk slow and loud." And she just started nailing me with all these awesome comments. And I was like, "Oh, my God, you're faster than anyone I ever met." So, and then the other thing, too, is her work ethic. The first 5 years of her career were mostly in radio. And at one point, she was doing 5 different radio shows because she'd play character actors a day. So she's up at 6 and she's done at midnight and she's in front of the microphone the whole day.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was something that was probably one of my favorites.
Let's talk about work ethic a little bit. You really trying to bring that to your kids. Do you think that is something that's in danger right now?
I do. Again, I'm biased and probably uninformed, and so I'm sounding like we all sound like our dads, our grandparents eventually, and stuff, the next generation. I think what's changing, and I hope it will actually right itself, is why people are working is different, and I'm actually really encouraged by that. I think the younger folks really need to know the why, and I think that's good. They're cause-driven, they're principle-driven, and they want to help more than any other generation that I know of. And now I think it'll kind of catch up that they can associate that with work. I mean, in our family, we start every morning with 2 little questions. Who can we help? What can we build? Who can we help? What can we build? And then that translates into work. But if you say, "Oh, I don't like work or my job," and you look at it through that lens, I can see how it could kind of be a salt mine, coal mine mentality, right? I just think I have the opportunity to serve someone today, and so I'm going at that hard. And I mean, I'm pretty darn lucky to own a comedy theater, and it's not dairy farming, that's for sure. It's a lot easier.
Well, you have been blessed, but you've also worked very hard. You also have an amazing wife who travels the world with you, who supports your work and your causes. How do you two keep things real? How do you keep things sexy?
Well, it's kind of interesting because everyone kind of assumes because I talk so much and because I'm so loud and arrogant that's how it works. She's the brains and she's the wisdom. And oftentimes I tell people I've always had kind of a bit of a premonition that my work is really the door opener for the world to hear her work. And remember, I'm Irish Catholic and think I'm pretty cool and love to hear myself talk. She's Lutheran Norwegian. And just, with silence for, she'll tell me exactly how she feels 3 and 4 years later. And so it's wonderful. But she's kind of my mentor. And so it's her work that sometimes I'm the mouthpiece of. And then, to be honest, I think how we keep it real and how we keep it fun is we do share in a very, very specific way this understanding that our time on this planet is for the sake of others, and what we get jazzed about is how much service we did that day. And sometimes that service has to do with selling theater tickets, or Jenny leads our educational program. The biggest accomplishment we've had as a couple is Gilda's Club, and that was all Jenny, and I was the supporting role in that. I'd go out and talk to people with money, and then Jenny would close
and
it.
Tell people what Gilda's Club is.
Gilda's Club is an amazing social and emotional support clubhouse for anyone on the cancer journey. Could be the patient, could be the family, could be the friends, could be when the journey is in full cancer, could be after the journey of someone, that their journey came to an end. Started by Gilda Radner and her therapist, Joanna Bull, in Santa Monica about 30 years ago, and then Gene Wilder after Gilda passed away, and a board of directors with people like Lucille Ball and Mel Brooks, they decided Gilda had the ability to have this wonderful therapist lead her through the journey. Everyone deserves that. They need the social and emotional because hospitals are great for the medical, But that social and emotional is what's needed. So there's dozens of them all across the country. And in 1998, we lost Jenny's 36-year-old sister to cancer. And so that, in true Jenny form, got her excited about doing something. And we recognized that there wasn't a lot of opportunities for her family to go through social and emotional. And we had gotten to know Gilda's Club through Second City in Chicago when we were down there. And so that little tiny Norwegian creative troll of mine, in the height of the recession, raised $5 million, found a building, hired a staff, of course with lots and lots of help. But she spearheaded it, and she's, you talk about servant leadership, and you talk about a leader who is for others. I don't know of anyone better than my wife.
Quite a story. What does John Sweeney do that we might not imagine for fun?
Oh, for fun? Trying to think that you wouldn't imagine. So I got a scholarship to go to college to sing, and I got there and found out that the choir practice was the same as the football practice, and I chose football instead of singing. So for fun, I sing a lot, and our boys are really musical, and Jenny's really musical, and so we have a little bit of a sound studio in our basement, and the boys will use their software and their piano and their guitars and their drums, and they'll create a song, and kind of like the funny Van Trapp family, we record a lot of music and send that out to our family and stuff. So I love to sing all day long. I love to sing. I'm rarely without music.
That is beautiful. We are here in Capitol Grill in downtown Minneapolis, a home of many spirits and wines and beers. If John Sweeney were an alcoholic beverage, what might John Sweeney be? Well,
I've got some advice I've got some experience on that because I'm 24 years sober.
Right.
And so alcohol plays a really important part of my life. But I would probably be a combination of Jameson and Guinness, which was my favorite drink. But that Guinness is stout, which I am, and it's got some smoothness in it, and then it helps chases that kind of potent, fast-paced Jameson Irish whiskey. And so I think some days I kind of live my life like a little bit of whiskey and a little bit of stout.
Well, it's great you can have a sense of humor, but congratulations on 24 years of sobriety. That's a journey in itself.
It is. It's been really, really wonderful, and that's also part of our marriage because we've been on both sides of my alcoholism, and it's been great. And we're very open about it with our kids because it's an improv scene. It's a 24-year improv scene, and so we use our improvisational skills and our open mind to get through that. But the world of comedy is filled with folks who weren't able to get sober, and so it's just every day I get up and go, holy cats, I got a second chance. This is awesome.
That is awesome. And John Sweeney's alter ego is a character named Jiggly Boy. And for those who don't know, tell people about Jiggly Boy, because Jiggly Boy has shown up on the Today Show and ESPN Sports Center.
Yeah, we're almost at 12 million hits on YouTube in this country, and we're over 200 million hits in China. It was kind of a fluke, like I would say most of the things in my life seem to be fluke, but another way of looking at it is kind of a serendipitous improvisational moment, and I believe if you live a life of improvisational acceptance, there'll be things that will come into your life that will be wonderfully unexpected. So part of our corporate services is we do a lot of creative brainstorming for organizations, and sometimes those organizations are professional sport teams, and sometimes they're teams who don't win a lot, so they're trying to figure out how to get their crowd engaged, and that was the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so we're in a brainstorming session, and just kind of almost for jokes, someone said, the Minnesota people, they're so reserved. We need to create a super fan. What if Sweeney took off his shirt and danced, and then we had his actors from his theater dressed as cops and take him away? And everyone was like, that would be awesome. And I was like, no, we're never going to, no, please, no. But when you write books that reinforce yes and there's no bad ideas, you're kind of stuck with that. So we tried it. It went well. The audience got behind it. And then, so that was a long time ago, and we danced with the cheerleaders, and that kind of came a thing. It was before the internet, but it did make the Today Show and that sort of thing. And then a few years back, when Kevin Garnett came back to the Minnesota Timberwolves, the team asked me to kind of, as a retro night, bring that character back. And so we did, and we showed the old video in the first half, and then we had another stage dance that happened in the second half. And Kevin Garnett is a pretty focused player, but I guess a 250-pound man dancing with his shirt off with KG written on his chest caught his attention, and he gave me a shout-out and a chest pump and a "It's all love," and I gave it to him back. And the next morning, my son came into my office and said, "Dad, there's a video of you dancing on the internet, and we have 10,000 hits." And then at noon he said 50,000, and then he said 100,000, and then we had 1 million hits in the first 24 hours. And so back to our little who can we help, what can we build, right? And I've tried a lot to get internet sensation. That's what we want as comedians and that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden here I had it. And there was this still picture that I was sent, and it was, there's a couple thousand people around me, and they're all smiling. And then you saw Kevin Garnett, and he's got this smile that's just beautiful. And I had just met this wonderful woman named Kim Valentini, and it all came together in one moment on that Saturday. And I said, another thing that we take for granted is our ability to smile. We think it's just something we do, and not everyone can smile. And so I remembered the Smile Network International and the wonderful work they did. And so I called her, and she happened to be in Portugal at the time. And I said, here's my idea. Everyone's going to this video. Let's link it to a website. I got some wonderful people in town who will build us a website and do the PR. And let's have them watch the video and get a smile, and then give you some money to bring smiles to these beautiful children. And so that's what happened. And that's been one of my favorite things in my life so far, is to be able to think something as ridiculous as me dancing with my shirt off changed the life of some kids that I've never met.
That is amazing and exciting, and it does make all of us smile. Well, John Sweeney, it's been so much fun chatting with you. Thank you for joining me on Real Leaders with Roshini.
Thank you. I love that you're doing this podcast, and I love the word real. I hope everyone achieves that.
Until next time, keep it real.